What a weekend for college football. We'll figure it all out. Come Monday morning, we'll have the answers for you. But between now and then, a lot of things are going to be taking place on the football field, and look forward to watching Adnan Virk, host of College Football Final, do what he does all too well. And he joins us here, as promised, on Big Board Sports on this Friday football-filled, including college radio program. Good morning, Adnan. Roger Weiland, how are you?
Good morning, Roger. Zach, good to be with you guys. How are things in Albany?
Just so you know, I'm a Penn State guy. So
let's get that out of the way early, right?
Yeah, get it out of the way early. Can you make any kind of a case if the Nittany Lions beat Wisconsin in the title game that they could get into the Final Four?
You know, I don't see it, Roger, although I just did a show with Danny Cannell and Booger McFarland and Trevor Mattis last night on ESPN, and you know what? Trevor and Danny were both making the point that they feel like right now the committee is undervaluing conference championships. And this has been something that's been around for 100 years, and now it feels the committee is gearing more towards let's just put the best teams in regardless of conference champion, referring to Ohio State. And Danny said, listen, I think if Penn State wins this game and they win it convincingly, you know, if they beat Wisconsin by 21 or 28 or 30 points, he goes, then yeah, they should get in, because he goes, there's something to be said for being a conference champion. That still should be important. And the way Penn State has finished the year, clearly they've been great the last 8 games of the season. They're a tremendous fourth-quarter team, well-coached. Saquon Barkley's been phenomenal. So, yeah, I mean, I personally wouldn't go that. I don't think the committee would either, Roger. I think the committee is saying, listen, if Washington stumbles, then Michigan gets in. Yeah. But if Washington wins, they're in, and that's pretty much it. For the best case for Penn State would be Washington loses, and I guess Penn State puts together just a superb performance that the committee goes, okay, you know what? We're going to put them ahead of Michigan, which I don't see happening.
Yeah, I you know what, and I'm a Penn State guy, true, and I'm from that area and went to school there, but I agree with you. I don't think Penn State gets in, and you know what? This year, if Penn State just wins the game over Wisconsin, I would think Penn Staters would be more than happy for that, because you know what? You'll win the game, you're going to the Rose Bowl in Pasadena.
Yeah, I think ultimately that's what has to happen, is that, you know, you take care of business in front of you, and listen, for Penn State, I'll say this. I mean, like you said, as a fan from the area, et cetera, it's been a remarkable turnaround. I mean, it was not that long ago, as you well know, we were steeped in scandal and focusing all the sadness and the negativity and the atrocities. And now that's the biggest win for me, is now when people mention Penn State, we're talking about a really good football team rather than focusing on what happened in the recent past.
I agree with you. I mean, I think it's going to be chalk, to be honest with you. I think Monday morning, here's what you're going to have, in my opinion. And I hope it's crazy. I hope Virginia Tech. I hope Virginia Tech beats Clemson. I hope we got all kinds of craziness going on. But I think you're going to wake up. You're going to go Alabama. You're going to go Ohio State for sure, 2. I think Clemson 3, and I think Washington beats Colorado, and Washington is 4. Case closed. There it is, right there.
Yeah, the biggest key is tonight, Roger. Exactly what you mentioned. Washington facing Colorado in the Pac-12 championship game, 9 o'clock tonight. Because if, like I said, Washington loses that game, then all of a sudden you've got some balls into the air, some potential chaos. But you're right. If you had a Virginia Tech upset, too, we'd really get something special. But I will say this for Colorado. Now they've got the quarterback back, Stefan Lufau. I mean, he's excellent. And I think it's going to be a really good game tonight. Now, again, just to give the contrarian point of view, Booger McFarland said to me, because everyone seems to be thinking, as you and I are, that win and you're in for Washington. Booger said, I think if Washington wins by a field goal, I think if they're up 3 and Colorado misses a field goal to tie, and that's how they win, he goes, then I don't think they get in. He goes, then I think Michigan gets in. I think then the committee goes, you know what? Who have the Huskies really played? Their strength of record isn't that strong. They got pumped against USC. You know what? Let's reward a Wolverines team that lost in double overtime in Columbus against Ohio State and get them in the playoff. I don't think so. I think winning in, and I think you're right. I think it's going to be chalk, but there is some sentiment that, you know, maybe even with a Washington win, the Huskies don't make the playoff.
And when you bring up a good point, your group did. You look at the resume of Washington. Their non-conference schedule is terrible.
Oh, horrendous. I think it's 107th, actually. And he goes, like, some of these games that they played, I'm like, are you kidding? Like, you've got to schedule a little better. That was always the issue, right, for Baylor. They said, okay, fine, you're playing the big boys in the Big 12 like Oklahoma, but the rest of your schedule is garbage. That has to hurt you when it comes to the overall picture.
Adnan, does a part of you just root for chaos here in what you do for your profession? Are you just hoping that everything goes awry and gets turned on its head?
Yeah, you know, I'm blessed, Zach, because being Canadian, I don't have a dog in the race. So, you know, how Roger was saying he wants to see Penn State do well, and Cannell went to Florida State and Galloway, Ohio State. All these guys have their loyalties. For me, being from Toronto and then growing up in Eastern Ontario, I don't have any affiliation to colleges. So you're 100% right. I'd root for chaos. I just want to see crazy things happen. I just don't want to see anything ordinary happen. I don't want to see predictability. Just like, I guess, if you didn't follow baseball and you became a baseball fan, you probably just want to see good teams do well, Yankees, Dodgers, etc. I like seeing Alabamas and Ohio States and Michigans and big-name programs. But I think it'd be pretty cool if Washington got in. I don't know anybody who's called the Washington Huskies to make the playoff. And I get the sentiment some people go, well, come on, you think they actually beat Alabama? Well, I don't know who the hell could beat Alabama, to be quite honest, aside from maybe Clemson. I hope for some chaos tonight. I definitely hope Colorado tonight wins, just to at least get some things happening. But as Roger alluded to, if we had Virginia Tech win over Clemson, things would get really exciting with this playoff.
Adnan Virk with us, host of College Football Final, coming up on a huge weekend. All right, so let's just say Washington gets beat. They do lose tonight to Colorado. I can almost guarantee you Michigan is in.
I think so, too, man. Sometimes you just get a vibe, right? When you see what the committee's doing week after week, and they really seem like they want to get Michigan in. And even Kirby Hocutt said that, the committee chair. He said, we had a 2-hour conversation just about Washington versus Michigan, who's 4 and who's 5.
Right.
So that, to me, shows that the committee is that tight right now, the separation in 4 and 5. Well, then that means if Washington's out, the Michigan's in. And, the other argument here, as you're mentioning, if Penn State wins the Big Ten championship game, again, Cannell said, well, if Wisconsin wins the Big Ten championship game and they win that handily, then I think they should jump Michigan. He goes, they should get rewarded for being a conference champion, which the Michigan Wolverines certainly will not be. Now, the counter to that, I said, well, there's no way Wisconsin wins big. If Wisconsin wins, they win 21-7. Wisconsin's not the type of team to score 30, and they're not going to blow you out, right? So if you're looking at the committee wants style points, the Badgers are not the style point type team. I think Michigan fans are definitely – all of Ann Arbor tonight is rooting for Colorado because they think if they win, then they're in.
Adnan, who's your favorite guy to work with at ESPN?
You're going to get me in trouble once this gets leaked out to some of these guys. But, they're all great. What I'm really fortunate about, Zach, is that I get to work on all different sports. I'm sure you guys, working in Albany, you get to cover different sports, and that's part of the dream if you're a sportscaster.
Yeah.
Is that, even if you love one sport the most, I think all of us are just generally big sports fans. So I'm lucky on baseball. I love Tim Kirchin, Rick Sutcliffe, Aaron Boone, Eddie Perez, all great guys. We lost Alex Cora. He's now the bench coach of the Astros. He's a great guy. On football, obviously, Cannell and Galloway. And then on basketball, I love Seth Greenberg, Jay Williams. I worked with them earlier in the week. Dan Dockett is terrific, and LaFonso Ellis. And then on radio, I get to work with Russillo and Golick and Greeny. And so I definitely have my pick of the litter when it comes to all these different people. Max Bredos is a great guy. You see him on SportsCenter. He went to Florida State. So I'm really fortunate. I hope you guys have that opportunity, too, in your careers as well, to work with different personalities, because that's probably the best part of ESPN. It really is a melting pot. People who come from different backgrounds and different economics and politics and all that kind of stuff, but you all get lumped in one spot, and somehow you make it work, which is pretty cool.
Hey, do you have a pick on Penn State, Wisconsin?
I think Penn State's going to win. I think the way they're running right now, I mean, it's I give credit. We have some staffers who must be Penn State people, because at the start of the year, they kept telling me, Saquon Barkley. I'm like, yeah, all right, I got it. But I didn't realize he was going to be this good. So, I think Penn State wins that game.
Hey, the other thing about Michigan, Adnan, that you can look at, how many tough games have they played away from Ann Arbor? Can we talk about their schedule outside of their little Ann Arbor, cushy little place to play?
You nailed it. That is, again, the argument against Michigan. Okay, fine, you played some good games, some big games, but you never had to travel. If you're just hanging out in your own home state, how tough can it really be?
Right.
So I agree. That definitely has some weight. I think the committee should consider that, because that is important if you're not traveling.
Adnan, I'd be remiss if I let this opportunity slip through my fingers and not asking you a movie question. I know how big you are into film. Like you, I'm a big-time movie buff, so I have to ask you. This has always bothered me, and I wanted a credible source to speak on it.
Can't wait.
How in the world, back in 1998, did Saving Private Ryan not win Best Picture, and it went to Shakespeare in Love? Explain that to me.
Explain it to you well, Zach. What happened is Harvey Weinstein, the incredible producer, he's so good at wheeling and dealing, and a lot of good things he's done, I would say, for cinema, particularly bringing to light a lot of great indie movies. He championed Tarantino from the start, Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, He got Sling Blade made with the great Billy Bob Thornton, who I just had on my podcast in a file. But ultimately, what Harvey will do sometimes is he gets those voters to just, he charms them and wines and dines them, and he makes them do things they shouldn't do. And Shakespeare in Love was a Miramax movie, and he was really good at selling the fact it's a romantic film. It has historical aspects to it, and he allowed the Academy to get duped into the fact I think it's a better movie than Saving Private Ryan, which it clearly is not. As you know, we're almost 2 decades later. I don't know anybody who says, hey, I feel like watching Shakespeare in Love today, but I know plenty of people who say, at the very least, let me go watch the first 15 minutes of Saving Private Ryan, which is about as incredible as an assault as you'll ever see. And, you know, some of Spielberg's best work, certainly when it comes to war films as well. So it's all Harvey Weinstein's fault, man. He convinced him to give Shakespeare in Love. It's definitely one of the top 10 Oscar travesties of all time when it comes to Best Picture.
The very well-rounded Adnan Virk, host of College Football Final. We love it. Great work. Keep up the good work, and hopefully we can do this again once we get things finalized come Monday morning.
All right, Zach, Roger, I appreciate it, fellas. Be well. Good luck to Penn State.